Yo, what is up, fam? It's your boy Legend, and I am back with another video. You already know what this is just by looking at the thumbnail. What if Naruto was a failed experiment, part number 3? Now, fair warning to all of you guys who clicked on this video. This part it's really sad. It's so sad to the point where as I was writing it, it made me cry just a little bit. But without further ado, let's just get into this intro so we can start this what if.
Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine. Yeah, everything I do, I'm just being genuine. Yeah, I'm sick of being screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah. I'm grateful, oh yeah.
It was now the next day. Naruto woke up and the first thing he did was go and get his pills. Once he finally got them and had one in his hand, he just stared at it. He didn't know what he should do. After 3 minutes of looking at the all-white pill in his hand, he decided to put the special medicine back into his bottle with the last little bit that he had left. It wasn't that Naruto wanted to die. It was actually quite the opposite. He just didn't know how to get his hands on more of that medicine once he ran out, nor could he reverse manufacture it. And once he ran out, depending on how you look at it, he would be lucky if he lived past 4 to 5 days. He left his room after getting dressed, and as he entered the dining room, upon entering, he saw his mom packing food into a small bag. As Naruto sat down, she slid him a plate of pancakes before going back to packing the food. Naruto looked at the food as if he were examining it or trying to figure out what it actually was. What's this? What am I supposed to do with it? Yes, Naruto didn't know what pancakes were. All the time he spent with the Orochimaru, there was a lot of food that he never got to eat, let alone even see, and pancakes was a food on that list. Kushina stopped what she was doing and turned around and looked at Naruto. Naruto just looked back at her, waiting for an answer. Realizing that her son was serious, it almost made Kushina cry. She had to take a deep breath and hold back the tears as she walked beside Naruto. They're pancakes, Naruto. It's a breakfast food, and you eat them like this. Kushina put syrup on the pancakes before cutting them with a butter knife. She then used a fork, and she put the cut stack into her mouth as she chewed and swallowed. See? It's that simple. Naruto nodded as he began to replicate Kushina and eat the pancakes. When Naruto had his first taste, his eyes widened as tears came to his eyes. This is the best thing I've tasted in my entire life. Naruto began to devour the rest of the pancakes, causing Kushina to smile. Upon finishing his food, Kushina handed Naruto a brown bag. Honey, can you bring this to your father so he has lunch for later? He's at the Hokage's office, keeping this village running. Naruto nodded as he grabbed the bag and headed out the door. As he walked through the streets of Konoha, there was an abundance of people who waved and greeted Naruto. One of those people was Sakura. She was out alone, and her plan was to go and gossip with Ino, but when she saw Naruto out, her plans quickly changed as she decided to go and greet him. Hey Naruto, what are you up to? Naruto turned his head and saw the pink-haired girl. I'm not doing much. I'm just dropping this off to my, dad, since my mom asked me to. Naruto was expecting Sakura to walk away after his answer, but him not knowing of her hoish crush on him, she did the exact opposite. "That's very nice of you. You wouldn't mind if I walked with you, would you?" As she asked her question, she gave Naruto the puppy eyes. Naruto had no real reason to say no, other than him not knowing her. So he said yes. After all, he couldn't live here and have an actual, normal, non-experiment life and not have friends or other people to talk to. But as Naruto thought of the number of pills that he had left and his degrading artificial health and the fact that he would be dead within a month and a half, he slightly started to regret letting her walk with him. "So, Naruto, I was wondering, just how strong are you?" Naruto blinked as he came out of his thoughts. "I'm sorry, what were you saying?" I have a lot on my mind, so I wasn't paying attention." Sakura rolled her eyes and playfully punched Naruto in the shoulder as she repeated the question. It was a soft punch, but to Naruto it felt bad. He had to refrain from rubbing his shoulder. He knew that the small punch that she gave him, it left a nasty dent, and if he rubbed it, it would make the dent worse and leave behind deep rub and fingerprint marks. I'd rather not talk about my strength at the current moment. It's a touchy subject and can bring back a lot of unwanted memories. Sakura went wide-eyed, not wanting to make her guilty crush uncomfortable. I'm so sorry, Naruto." Sakura had to bite her bottom lip and tell herself not to say Naruto-kun as she spoke. "I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable with that question. I was just curious." Naruto looked away as she bit her lip, a pink hue coloring his cheeks. When she bit her lower lip, he got a feeling in his chest, and it was the same feeling whenever he was around Karin in Orochimaru's hideout. "It's fine. You didn't know." The two of them finally arrived at the Hokage's tower, and Sakura took it upon herself to wait in the lobby as Naruto walked into his father's office with the brown bag. "Hey, Mom told me to take this to you." Minato smiled and waved Naruto over. "Do you know what your mother packed for me?" Naruto shook his head and handed the bag over to Minato. Minato decided to mess with his son. "What? You didn't check? How do you know that she didn't put a bomb in here to try and kill me?" Naruto's eyes widened at his mistake, feeling like an idiot. He was already getting too comfortable. Just because he was now with people who apparently cared for him, he thought everything was safe and didn't check the simple things. Naruto bowed his head and clenched his eyes shut. "I'm sorry for my idiotic mistake, Hokage-sama. From now on, I will not let something like this ever happen again." Minato went wide-eyed as he saw his son bow to him like he was some slave. He even dropped the title of father and used his actual title of Hokage. "Naruto, don't you ever bow to me. I was just pulling your leg, messing with you, and trying to have fun. I don't really expect you to check my things to see if they can harm me. It was just a joke, and I'm sorry." Naruto stood back as Minato thought to himself, "Damn, my son has really gone through a lot. I don't like that his immediate reaction was to apologize and to swear to do better, like he was a slave or someone who was abused." Minato then came out of his thoughts as he went to speak. "Also, Naruto, I plan to announce to the village of your Minato stopped for a second as he just looked at Naruto, a confused and worried look on his face. "Naruto, are you feeling alright?" Naruto raised an eyebrow, not knowing what his father was talking about. "Yes, I'm fine. Why do you ask?" Minato ran a hand through his hair before speaking. "Well, Your nose is bleeding. Naruto went wide-eyed as he covered his nose and darted out of the office and out of the Hokage's tower. He continued to run at immense speeds all the way home without break until he was in the bathroom. Once he was in the bathroom, he locked the door before Kushina tried the handle to check on him. Seeing him sprint into the bathroom. Naruto-kun? Is everything okay? Are you okay? Naruto was too busy stuffing both of his nostrils with toilet paper. He didn't even hear Kushina calling out to him from the other side of the bathroom door. As Naruto stuffed his nose, he could feel small bits of his skin sloshing off of the inside of his nose as he pushed the tissue deeper into his nostrils. When he was finished, he began to breathe through his mouth as he used the sink to hold up his weight while clenching his hands into fists in frustration and sadness. The door to the bathroom then burst open, causing Naruto to jump in surprise, landing in a defensive posture on reflex before he realized that it was his mom. Kushina noticed Naruto starting to relax from his defensive posture. Naruto, did you not hear me calling you? Naruto shook his head as he stood up straight. No, what's wrong? Kushina then noticed the two pieces of tissue in his nose that were slowly turning crimson from a nosebleed. Oh my god, my baby, who hurt you? Kushina went to pull the tissue from his nose, but Naruto immediately backed up while grabbing Kushina's wrist with an iron grip, as the adrenaline pumped dangerously fast through his veins, causing Kushina to wince from the abnormally tight grip. Don't. Just leave them in for now, please. Naruto then realized that he was hurting his mother with his grip, and he immediately let her go. I'm so sorry. Naruto really didn't know what to say as his face contorted in anger and sadness. Kushina stepped forward and hugged Naruto, seeing the conflict on his face. It's fine, Naruto. You clearly didn't mean it, and you didn't hurt me, so everything is fine. Naruto wanted to hug her back, but he could feel his forearms starting to throb with pain, feeling like they were on fire. But at the moment, all Naruto could do was just grit his teeth and deal with the pain that came with his decision of not taking his pills and trying to make them last. Meanwhile, with Minato, he currently has his shinobi council, gathering all of the civilians and other residents that live within his village. The only reason he didn't leave this kind of work to the civilian council was because he didn't trust them in the slightest. They were all corrupt and greedy, money-hungry bastards. They even chose to willingly have weaker shinobi just so they could have that much more money go into their pockets. They ruined the academy curriculum and took out elemental training and manipulation just to replace it with animal grooming. Once Minato finished announcing the return of his son, he was either going to get rid of the civilian council altogether, or he would get rid of the original civilian council and replace them with a new, non-corrupt members. Minato then heard a knock at his office door. Upon giving the order to enter, Shikaku entered the Hokage's office. Hokage-sama, majority of the village has been assembled near the village training grounds by the lake. Within a few more minutes, the rest of the village should be assembled. Minato nodded. Thanks for informing me. I'll be there with my family within a matter of minutes. Minato stood from his desk and flashed away into Hiroshin, returning home. When Minato appeared by his front door, he took his sandals off before stepping onto the carpet. Minato called out to his wife and son, but he got no answer. He decided to just go and look for the two of them, and it didn't take long to do so because he could hear Kushina fussing at Naruto in his room. Minato walked into Naruto's room to try and defuse whatever situation was started, but when he entered, he clearly saw that Kushina was just being a worried mom. What do you mean I can't take a look at it? The tissues in your nose are literally completely red from blood. So just let me see. It's not normal for someone to bleed that much from their nose. Naruto pushed away Kushina's hand as he leaned back on his bed. No, I'm fine. It's just a small nosebleed. There's nothing wrong. So leave it be. Minato couldn't help but laugh at the two of them, alerting the two of them of his presence. Okay, you two. I'm going to need both of you to get ready. I'm going to be revealing the return of Naruto. So I want the both of you there. Naruto wanted to refuse. He wanted to say no, but he didn't want to ruin what his father had planned. No matter how much pain he was currently in, he would just deal with the itching, burning, and melting sensation that he was feeling throughout his arm, shoulder, torso, and the bottom half of his face. Naruto waited for Kushina and Minato to leave his room before he slowly stood up with a pained moan as a tear ran down his face. Once he stood up straight, he placed his hands onto his chest and arm as he took multiple deep breaths to steady himself and get control over the throbbing pain. Alright, just get dressed, go out, do what needs to be done, and come back. Easier said than done. After Naruto forced himself to get dressed, he walked out the room, physically hiding the fact that he was in agonizing pain. He also made sure to put on a long sleeve shirt and pants. He was originally going to sport a short sleeve shirt, but he quickly noticed that a large portion of his skin on his forearm had sloshed off, leaving a patchy red, pink, and white spot of flesh exposed. And what made it worse is that he couldn't go and wrap the wound, so Naruto had to put on a black shirt to hide the stains that would end up on his shirt. Minato placed a hand on Kushina and Naruto as he used the Hiraishin to flash the three of them away. Upon arriving near the training ground and the lake, Naruto and his family had to wait at least another 10 minutes to make sure that everyone had arrived. When the time was up, Minato stood and he walked to the podium that was set up for him. Everything he had planned to say was already written down on a piece of paper at said podium. Minato cleared his throat and began to send chakra to his vocals to amplify how loud his voice was. Good afternoon to all the shinobi and civilians of Konoha. There were some murmurs of good afternoon that went back to the Hokage, causing Minato to smile. First, I want to thank my Shinobi Council for gathering everyone here, and I also want to thank everyone who showed up. It means a lot for what I plan to announce. Minato paused for a moment and looked back at his wife and son. Naruto sitting there with an indifferent look while Kushina sat next to him, her thigh touching his. Minato then began to speak. As you all know, some time ago, years ago, we all got together and we mourned when my wife and I had to bury our son, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. And then 3 days later, his grave was robbed and his body was taken. Now, before I continue on, there are some things that I need to clear up and set straight. The first thing is, when we buried our son, it wasn't staged, it wasn't a ploy, and it damn sure wasn't faked. So I could send him on some secret mission. And number two, I already know who it was that killed our son, and I already handled him. I killed the man that caused me and my wife, along with other people, pain 11 years ago, as he was trying to cover it up and leave. Everyone in the crowd was now curious. Not because Minato killed someone, but the ones that already knew of Naruto's return, they were curious if he was the real Naruto now. Minato began to speak once more. But just a few days ago, my Anbu operators raided one of Orochimaru's hideouts, and they found someone that was supposed to be dead. Yet, he was there, alive and well, although in a condition that was not ideal. He was still living, and those Anbu operators brought him back to the village, and they ran blood tests and every other DNA test on him to make sure he was who they thought that he was. And it all came back positive that my son Naruto has returned to the village. Minato stepped away from the podium as everyone clapped. Minato motioned for Naruto to step up next to him, and though Naruto was in agony, he did with the help of Kushina. Naruto hid his pain-filled expression as he put his hands on his knees and shifted his weight forward to try and stand. Kushina offered him a hand, and he gladly took it as she helped him stand. The two of them walked up to the podium, and Naruto used it to hold some of his weight as his parents stood next to him. Naruto, you may not know what to say, but they expect you to say something. And we all know that they are curious about your stay at Orochimaru's. If it's alright with you, can you speak about it? Naruto nodded toward his father, and he began to speak, although he was unable to send chakra towards his vocals because of how much Orochimaru ruined him. And Kushina and Minato didn't know that. So when he spoke, it came out quiet. My time with Orochimaru made me feel like an animal. To him, I was just an experiment, a project for him to test things on and see what he could and couldn't do. Minato then cut Naruto off. Naruto, you need to speak louder. They can't all hear you. Just send a bit of chakra to your vocals so they can hear you. For a while, Naruto looked down at the podium as he tightly gripped the wood, causing it to splinter and crack. Naruto quickly wiped a tear away from his eyes, and both Kushina and Minato, along with the entire crowd, saw it. Naruto finally spoke in a quiet voice that only his parents could hear. I can't. Both Kushina and Minato snapped their heads to look at Naruto. What do you mean? Why not? It took Naruto a while to answer. The pain from his body deteriorating and the emotional trauma he was going through, almost too much for him. Because of Orochimaru and what he did, I'm severely limited on what I can do with chakra, because over 75% of my chakra network has been ruined when he decided to physically remove it from my body, experiment with it, and put it back in the wrong way. Kushina's hands went to her mouth as she gasped, a tear falling from her eyes as the waterworks started, and Minato clenched his fist as blood began to leak from his palms, and the wind around him started to spin around him like a tornado. Everyone else who was there saw the scene and didn't know what was going on, but Minato forced himself to calm down as best he could. It wasn't a good time for him to get angry. Kushina then spoke. Naruto, if you don't want to do this, you don't have to. Naruto shook his head. I just need someone to tell them what I said, because I can't. Kushina nodded and agreed to do so as she started to repeat what Naruto said. My son said his time with Orochimaru made him feel like an animal. To him, he was just an experiment, a project, something he could use to test himself on what he could and couldn't do. He wanted to use him as a weapon He made him fight and train against all of his other grotesque experiments. Kushina had to pause for a moment as she wiped away her tears and blew her nose into a tissue. She then started to repeat what Naruto said once again. My son said that Orochimaru would always inject him with strange venoms and poisons to see if he would become immune to a certain extent. He also removed his spleen and injected him with large amounts of liquid adrenaline into his veins, which in turn gives Naruto the strength to punch through a mountain in intense situations. He also never gave him actual food. He only ate food pellets and artificial high protein food paste and vegetables that he would mash together and give to him. And that was just all of the stuff that was not too bad. Time skip. 30 minutes later. Naruto and his family didn't stick around once he finished talking at the podium. He didn't feel like answering any questions from the people. He just wanted to go home, wash up, and sleep. It was around 5:30 p.m., so it was fairly early, but because of Naruto's declining health at the moment, he was burnt out. Naruto entered the bathroom with a pair of boxers and a shirt, and slowly removed the shirt that he had on. More of his skin had sloshed off, leaving more bloody patches on his shoulders, chest, and neck. Naruto entered the shower with a wince as the hot water ran down his exposed flesh, as the rust-colored blood ran down his body and into the drain of the shower. He didn't bother to use soap because he knew that it would just burn due to the wounds that he had. When he was done with his shower, he got dressed in his boxers and the t-shirt. He exited the bathroom and went straight to his room, not even bothering to eat. But when he entered his room, he saw Kushina in his bed, sporting a crop top and some sweatpants that had the legs cut off. Naruto was startled at why his mom was in his bed, especially when he was in the condition that he was in. What are you doing here? As in, why are you in my bed? It's weird. Kushina just looked at Naruto. You can think it's weird all you want. I'm sleeping in your bed tonight. I've missed out on it for 11 years, and I plan to make up for the lost time, especially after all you went through. Naruto knew he wasn't going to win this argument with his mom, so he just got into the bed and hoped for the best. When Naruto got into the bed, he made sure to face away from Kushina so he wouldn't get any strange feelings about her. But as she wrapped her arms around his waist and started spooning him, it got even more difficult for Naruto, and that was because he could feel her thick thighs were resting against his own. Kushina then noticed Naruto had a metal plate on the back of his head, just above his neck. There was a button on it, and she wasn't sure what it was. She ran her fingers over it, but Naruto quickly grabbed her hand, motioning for her to stop. Naruto didn't want her touching it. It was something sensitive for him. The next morning, when Kushina woke up, she felt wet. Not in an aroused or sexual way, but a literal way. There was also a slightly rancid smell in the room, and the smell was familiar to Kushina. It was the smell of death. Kushina immediately got out of the bed and looked over, and she screamed in horror. The sheets were covered in blood, and her arms, legs, and chest were also covered in it. As she looked at Naruto, she could clearly see large portions of his skin were gone, and other parts were in the midst of sloshing off. His right hand looked as though it were melting, and his shirt and boxers were bloody and bled through. Minato burst through the door trying to figure out what was wrong, and that's when he saw Naruto. Dear God. To both of their surprise, Naruto was still breathing, and he was trying to speak, but his throat was deteriorating, so it was hard. As his parents were trying to figure out what was wrong, Naruto pointed to his dresser, and Minato opened it to see a bottle of pills. You need these? Naruto gave a weak nod as his arm gave out and more of his skin slid off of his arm. Minato quickly put one of the pills into Naruto's mouth and helped him swallow it, and the both of them waited inside of his room, sitting next to Naruto, hoping that their son would be okay and live. But guys, I am going to end it off right here. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button. As always, the like goal for the video is going to be 5 likes, so hit that like button. Subscribe while you're at it. And if you want to hear what ChatGPT thought about this chapter of the story, well, here you go.
This is a powerful and emotionally heavy chapter. You're weaving Naruto's trauma, emotional confusion, and the family's attempts to rebuild his life in a believable and gut-wrenching way. There's a raw honesty in how Naruto's pain, both physical and mental, is portrayed.
So yeah, there you guys go. This is the end of the video. Without further ado, I'm out, and I want you guys to stay blessed.